We are continuing with yesterday part. Yesterday, we basically we were just creating this test, and those tests were local tests or these that you don't need to create much information, right? You are just basically uh, pasting the data, and this that data is just arriving. You have a component, and the component you pass some props, and you know the props that you are passing, and then you, in this case, expect what you are doing inside. Another type of uh, components that they are very common in what we are doing is, in this case, the component that you need to pull information from the internet, right? The majority of time, not the even though there exist different type of ways to do it, but for no so for this day, we will be using this MSW library that we have it. That is that mock service worker. And it's an API mocking library for browser and Node.js. There is nothing extra. What we do here is intercepting the information. What that means intercepting the information? Well, instead of the API go to the real API, I intercept it, give some information, and in this case, I can mock that data. This is one of the most common also uh, libraries that you can find in order to do it. As always, I said, you can just go and npm, go and see it, the information, and you will always see that if that library is useful or not. For example, 3 million something is one of the most common libraries that we have it. And the version 2 is already here. That is the one that we will be using in this case. Simple. Sometimes we have data. This data is coming from somewhere, from an API, can be GraphQL or can be REST. For now, we will just use an HTTP request. For example, in this case, we could take the um, the fake shop that we have it all the time. And just the product, right? And here we have the products. These products, we are getting it from this API. The only thing that we will do today is fake it. First of all, first of all, uh, I we have to create, for example, this is the same project that we had yesterday. The project that we have yesterday, we already have installed, in this case, btest, and we already have installed testing library and testing library just done in order to make it work. Uh, Now that we have everything, let's just create a component. We just create a component, product, uh, product display, dot, uh, ESX. There will be nothing extra here that we have come products display. That is just a simple component that we have to return something, and we need in this moment just to export. Okay, I want to install this this table that you have it, but okay. Then after we have the component, what do we usually have to do? Well, we need to create, for example, the API. The API, what do we have it? Is the one that is arriving. We create the function, for example, function call API, well, LPI. Let's say in this case, call to the API. This one is an async function. And here we just say cons request will equals to await, await, and we just fetch. And what do we fetch? We fetch in this case the API that we have up there. And then we have const data and we just return the information. Majority of time, we need to get that information from somewhere. So you are seeing here the is suggested me that I have to put it into one state and we just import that use state from React. I am not waiting anything. Why? Because I feel like this is something that we know. And the majority of time we arrive and we just set the data. We are setting the data into the products. The products is arriving here and we just will use use in this case effect. This just effect, we don't have to import it in the same one. We can just import it from the same place. And this just effect, just get a function and we just call it sometimes. And here we call the API and basically this will be everything, right? After we have everything, we just need to, in this case, to map our information. We use the brackets in order to escape to JavaScript. And here we just say map. And this map will be the product. And that product will just return me some information. If I don't know, we can just make another div. And that div will have what we have to say it here. Oh, we get the key and that key. Let's go and see the products. What do we have? We have the ID. That and this will be the product dot ID. And we will just show us something, some information. That is the title. I am just putting the minimum that we can do it. Product dot title. I think this is the minimum component that we can create. We get the information and that data. For now, I will just show it. Okay. And I need to call this import. And there we have. I think it's not running or this running. No, it's not running. Then I just say npm run them. Oh, let's say the product is here. I am not calling you correct. Component, product to display. And here we have. Is nothing more. It's just showing the information, right? It's not about The component itself is mostly about just to have some component that is bringing information uh, from the API. Absolutely nothing extra. If you want to do it, feel free to do it. If not, I will just give you the here the API, this simple component. Yeah. And today, if we have some extra time, I will love if you explain me this just table that you were doing. I am interested in know it. I don't know it. It's not something that I have used it ever.
And it's also mixed with the material UI, by the way. There.
Oh, okay, it will be cool. I will, I will take it. Then you will teach me something today at least. In the last couple of minutes, it will be good for me. You already work at 6 hours, then I can make myself, I can save myself some information. Okay, then we have in this case everything here. That is the important part. Remember, okay, now that we have everything, remember that in order to create a test, this will change depending what you are using, but right now that we are using Bit, I would just say products display dot test dot gsx. Okay. And we already have the component. Everything that I will be using basically is arriving from here. Everything is arriving uh, from the components and everything, right? Here we do it. The important is that we call it in this case intercepted, intercepting the request. And that is what we will do it. You have a call to the API. This component is calling the API. When this component call the API, it shows you some data. Come here. Let's start it just, let's say like we import the component. Let's import something. And what we will go into import is the product display. Remember that yesterday we were importing something from, and that is going to happen all the time, uh, from the testing library, that it was called something called render, right? And we were also imported a screen. These are the two that we were using. Then we imported something from a bytes. What it was? Maxat was complaining with me, but the majority of time you can call test or you can call describe and it. I still like to use this one. That is why I will be using it, but nothing more. And we will just say describe product display. And here we will just see, for example, should render. Should render. Oh, okay, it's just clean. Okay, should render. This will be our test. This will be our 100% is going to fail, right? This is completely going to fail because it's not this information product one and product two doesn't exist. But instead of making it fail, let me just say screen dot debug, and I will just say, for example, at this moment, what's gonna say undefined because I just wanted to show it in X amount of characters. And I will say npm run test. If I'm not mistaken, going to run the test, and here we have it, the information that we have here.
What does
Check
it debug
render.
here?
I'm sorry?
What is debugging here?
It's just showing me what is in the screen right now.
Hmm.
There is nothing, absolutely anything extra that is doing. Okay. And right now, what is doing basically is just um, trying to describe what is over there. Should render. The majority of time, remember that this one, ah, this is a, look what is rendering right now. Body and div, and there is nothing over there. Now, let me just do something like this one. I will say async, and now that is async, and if I have this information, let me just get, for example, the word edit, because I just wanted to show something. And I will say something like await, await, screen, find by text. And I will just get this edit, just the word edit. Uh-huh. Look, this is the information that I am arriving right now. Okay, edit is not. Why? Because in the bug, there is nothing. Let me just add the word edit into the product just to have something here. I will just add it. Okay, now it's passing because the word edit exists into the product. But I want you to see in this case with some data. I will remove it. Look what I have here.
So is go through the whole like titles and trying to find the edit one?
Yes, it's trying to find and this called the word ID. But I want you to see something again. I will remove this one. We'll
Mhm.
remove this one. Uh-huh. And this is what is showing me a screen debug. Now I am doing this one. And now it's showing me this one, this information here. Why do you think in this case is doing one or another one? If I remove this edit,
Mhm.
uh, this is what is rendering the component. This is, look, here is what is rendering. Now I do this, but now I have all this information there. Why now I have more information over there? Because I have here, look. Uh-huh. Why now I have more than before? Why do you think that is happening?
Because you put the find by text and it's just trying to go through all elements inside the product display and find that word, I guess. No.
I think it's happening something a little bit different over there. If you see this one,
Mhm.
if you see this one, would you mind to explain me how this component is working? That is the important to know how it's working, how is working the component, and mostly this one, this part, how that use effect is working in that component in order to make it work.
Mm. So you're fetching the data. Oh wait, you already, yeah, you're fetching the data,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put that function call API inside of here to render it, to show in
Mm-hmm.
display, and then you just return it inside your. So
Mm-hmm.
what else?
Maxat, Begimai, would you mind to help David? How is really working this component?
Which component?
How this one, this simple component, product display, how is work? How is written? How how is rendered? What
How
is
is it?
happening first, second, and something?
The first, since we are using async, that let's start with the API, and that when that async is started, so that we still continue to read the code because it's gonna render on the other side. Like it's not how to say, like we have a like another room where the process of calling API happening, and then that API is finished. Since we use effect, we will like render again that call API, and
Is
then
that
yes,
and then?
and then when we call that API, we have a data which is set to our use state, to the products which called, and then we map it that product. But since actually what is happening here, since it's like a single await, this is makes that our code more like synchronous. I mean, like I don't know what happened with my English today. A lack of English today. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's- we get tired, right? Sometimes there's so many stuff that we feel.
I
Okay.
usually get tired when I speak too much English. For
Oh
example,
yeah, that's happened.
today I was in many public places, and like at the end of the day, I'm like really tired of speaking in English.
Imagine how I finish when I have to be speaking German. And you already have a good command of the language, but it gets better, I think. More time, more time. It's not like speaking our native language, right? We use less of our brain in order to do it. Okay, but what Maxat said is completely correct. We have the components. The component gets start reading it. The component, create the state return, the API, create the effect. But first, what is happening is arriving here. Then the effect, this one goes to the other room. The other room called all the information. With set state get updated, set update, change the information here. Then the product is different, another rendering, and it's arriving here. And if you see it, that is happening here. Look, when you see this one, you say shows render, and it's like uh, and it's moving. That is small movement that you see over there is basically our component calling to the API. What is happening? I can do something like for example, like this. I can take this information and maybe try to add it here, and it's passing. Why?
Yeah.
Because that data exists. Oh, but exists here? No. Where that data exists? Into the API. What is the inconvenience? What's going to happen if the API fail? For example, if I write here and I will just add 1 point, then the API is going to fail.
But
Is this but
why you put async away on your testing?
because it's at the very end. This is what is really happening. When you make a request to the API, it will always be a promise. Then
No,
that is what,
here.
yes, here,
Okay. Yeah.
because
Okay.
this is also a promise. Because when you render the component, this component is calling async away. Here, this API. Then I also have to tell it everything that is coming here is also an asynchronous code that is arriving because of the call to the API. And
So you have to
remember,
put async await also here.
yeah, absolutely. Because this component, inside this component is all doing it. And aside of that, if we take this find by text, this screen find by text, this is also an asynchronous. Is async. Is
I have a
asynchronous.
question, Matt, a quick question.
Yes.
That await usually helps us to read the code from top to bottom, right? It's not the same like a fetch. When we do the fetching, just fetching the promise itself, it's asynchronous, and that process is going like on the like different side, but we still read it our code. But then that,
Yeah.
but yeah, but here, async await helps us to that stop the whole code. We are waiting like since the first step will finish the fetching, and then after the fetching is finished, the code will continue reading. That's the difference, right?
That is the main difference. What is with the way you say wait till you have an answer. When you finish, uh, then when you finish, then pass to the next line. And the other one, stop. Finish what you are doing and bring it to me. Because you can just fetch, right? Fetch, and then you have in this case you have then. And then you have then then and then you have, for example, catch, right?
But
And
here's
that
gonna be the
is
problem, right? Since like the process, for example, when we are mapping that our products, it will show undefined since like the fetching is not finished yet. But
exactly.
if we use async await, we will avoid that problem since like we are waiting for the full for full request when we get the full request.
Uh, that is yay, very likely. But if I think like we could try it to do it like this. Look, what you usually is not. I have you say fetch the API,
But
then
does
you have
the fetch have the built-in the built-in await? Like if that's how it's work, no? You fetching,
a
you saying you fetching first, then you doing this, then you doing this. Is it the same
yeah.
thing? Does it?
Okay, give me 1 second. Then you have a request. Then you say there's a request dot JSON. Then you have this
Data.
uh, uh just give me here. I am not secure with this JSON over here, but then you have this data, and then this data you will just
Get
say
product data.
set products data.
Mhm.
And then if I say this information here and I go here, it's supposed to I have the same, but it's not. I'm not having the same.
It's
I,
because
I
No, it was uh I think it was correct.
it
The
was correct.
JSON.
JSON with the bracket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since it's undefined now, can
Yeah.
you check your console in UI? Not here.
Uncalf promise expecting dot data. Yeah, check products. No, this is products more than check. Let me just refresh it here. No, they're saying the API not found.
Ah, okay.
There it is.
Mm-hmm. No,
So
it's
there's
Because
no difference.
this will not be different because this one is the same as we wrote it before. Because fetch, wait, then wait, then wait.
Ah, okay.
That is what you're
Yep.
doing.
I was wrong then.
No. You were not wrong. You were not wrong. What? Let me just copy this one. Let's copy this one, and let me go to the previous one.
But I said it's the same as a single wait, no?
Let me just go over here. Being honest, everything that you are seeing here, let me just take it this one. This one is this asynchronous is just transforming this one because this is also asynchronous. When you have fetch by itself is asynchronous. This one, these lines that you have here, these 10 lines are transformed at the very end in something like this. This is the pure one. This is the pure form, but nobody is using it. It's just difficult in this case to read it. Then in 2015, they create this one. And this one is what is synthetic sugar, but they are basically the same. This is asynchronous and this is asynchronous. Fetch by itself is asynchronous, but it's just using callbacks. What is the callback? Then, this then is basically a wait. This then, in this case, is basically a wait. They don't have difference between one and another one.
Yeah, that's why I like fetching.
You like this one?
Yeah, more than async away, honestly. For me, it's more
Why?
understandable. Maybe because we started with the fetching in very
Okay.
beginning. That's why I like make a lot of project with the fetching. And then when they show me async await, I start to struggling because like what the if I know the fetching, why you guys showing me the async? Same thing like array and object, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, but imagine then the power of getting the errors is like quite complicated because you have to in this case manipulate the errors
But
and
also,
the
I understand something more. Then you can, with the async await, you can like manipulate more. Like I mean, the data you can create the couple. Like it's more easy to request it. Like some request, like couple request and all this stuff is more understandable than in fetching, doing fetching.
yeah, and the manipulation of
Yeah.
error, for example, here when you try and catch the majority of time we are just using this one, but the full block will be in this case here, or you can create more data here, more stuff like here too. I mean, like you can manipulate. If the error is different, then you can just do it
Right.
in a different way.
In a
But
fetch, you
post
have to put a lot of then, right?
that I get confused. And here you just know that every time that you write away is one then.
Yeah.
Being honest, this one is the same. This one is the oldish ways to do it, and this one is the newish ways to do it. But this one by themselves is asynchronous, and this one we are just forcing it to do it to be asynchronous. Okay.
Mario,
Yes.
quick question. For example, in that I just want to understand the process of the flow. So when we render the page, so first of all, use effect is gonna work and it's gonna call the API, right? When the API is called, the API is starting the fetching. But what's gonna happen in line 22 since the products now is empty? The products that map is like waiting when that our API will finish or no?
No. It's started with this one. The use state initial at the state, that is products. And
Yes.
initially with one empty array. Then
Yeah.
because if products map, and it will not map anything because there is not information inside the product. Basically here it will just render.
Okay. Line 22 is not waiting for that our API function, right? Since like
No, it's rendered right away
it's
with some
rendered.
if. Uh, uh, we it will. I think like we can do something in order for you to see it. We can just do, for example, maps product dot length. If exists, do this one. If doesn't exist,
Like
load
loading.
it. Load it. And what we will do, I will just use something that is called here. If just give me 1 second because application network. I will just I think I can do it here. I can
3G.
go 3G. Yeah. And now I will just go over here. Here it will be slow. I hope it will just show me the loading. Look.
Loading. Yeah.
And then this loading, it will call to the API.
Uh-huh.
So, and it has to be showing that there some die.
It's already
Okay, I think,
404.
huh?
If you can see, the status is 404 of fetching.
Yeah. Because the API is incorrect again. Okay. Then
No.
there it is.
I got you.
Uh-huh. Then basically that is what is happening. We have the API is running. You are just taking it. Okay, right now it's render, right? And then
Mhm.
it replace the information. That is the second time. It is arrived. Check if it's something. This is the first one because
But how
zero.
is for example, now in the beginning it's empty and the use state is rendering. Okay, I got you.
Exactly. Rendering, enter one time, then send to the API. The API
Oh,
is calling the information, set products
it's rendering,
because
yes. Got you.
trigger the second in this case, rendering. And that it is. And I think like we don't have to use this. Well, just in case in network, you can just check it here.
In my
When
computer, it doesn't work. I try to check with the 3G, is still sometimes fetching faster. I don't know why.
how many megabytes, how many gigabytes, or what is your network?
I have
How
loaded
much
it.
internet do you have?
I just try to check my spinner, from Material UI spinner.
Uh-huh.
Just wanted to see that spinner, and I put it 3G. Is still like fetching faster than the rendering. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I put the
You can do it like
timeout.
this. Look,
Custom.
download
Mm.
1 kilobit, upload 1 kilobit, latency 500
You can start
milliseconds.
today and finish tomorrow.
Otherwise, I just put the set timeout for fetching, so it's better than
Man.
change your 3G.
Yeah, but it's a possibility. Oh, look, in Germany, we even have a very slow internet. I mean, it will be funny if you see it by internet. Internet speed. 59 megabytes, 70.
Is it like bad?
Man, try to do yours and tell me how much do you have?
Okay, let's try. Mine is
Mine is
626.
350.
Look, is minimum three times bigger than mine.
Mine
And
is
remember,
626, crazy. It's like
yes,
times different.
6 times better yours. And
Mm.
look, and upload, how much do you have?
Upload is 95.
Okay, and then upload just 2 times.
Uh,
Yeah.
I didn't expect it.
I didn't know.
Wo-
Mine is
yeah.
350.
And that I'm using the mobile internet.
This is my house.
It's Verizon, just in
It
case.
is. Yeah, I'm telling you, okay, big mine is at work. Okay.
It's 11.
Okay, that is somewhere that is worse than Germany. Yeah. Okay. Then we have this information over here, right? We will just go over and then we will just talk more, but let's try to continue in order to do something. If not later, too much. Okay. What is the problem? The problem here? I cannot trust the API, right? I cannot trust the API because the API can be bringing me fake data, and if that data is not what I needed, as yesterday I was telling you, the majority of the time we need to use purity, or we need to make it okay. I need to stop this information. Everything that I am going to write right now, I took it from here. Okay, we need to get this HTTP get, and we will need to get all this information, right? For example, I need to get this pet, but instead of being calling this pet, what I need to do it is like this. Look, I say HTTP get, this HTTP get will get something, and in this case will be this API. This API, what I need to do. This API will return a response.json. Why? Because remember that we have this response to JSON, and that is what we will have it in this moment. Okay, we will have this handler, this information. This is the mutation. You don't have to be putting those and we will have to integrate it basically uh, with JSON. Okay, we will have to create this mocking. Don't worry, right now I already describing the REST API. You have the SSW. You can get posts, everything that you needed. Here we have it. We have the handlers. What is happening here? One thing is this one is when the API is arriving just from your server, but we are front enders. Then in this case, we will need to set up that server. We will need to set up that server. That means like we will need to do something else. We will need to get the request from the Node.js, and we will just need to do this one. Do you remember that we were having this get? Okay, this get, we will put it inside this setup server. What is doing is I am mocking the server that is bringing me this API. One thing that is nothing more. We will just have HTTP get the API that we wanted, and we will just send the response. And that response will be an HTTP response, the type JSON, and here we will pass our array, right? Our array with all those elements. There is nothing more. Another thing is, let me just, this is the very important page that you can have it. It's just documentation, I'm sorry. First one, you have the handlers. What are the handlers? The different calls to the API. Then you have before everything. Okay, before before everything, you have to listen. That means start my server. What? This server that I create, this server, start listening, be active. After each test, after every test, reset the handlers. I mean, like, for example, sometimes you have an API that can change, right? Then you say, just make it clear. And after everything, you close it. Why? Because here, when you start, you create one port, and this port is responding. And at the very end, you say, okay, just clean it. It's just a good way to do it. Nothing more. Is a lot of setup, but we will just see it. Okay. Remember, we need HTTP and HTTP response, and we need to put everything into the server. That's everything that we need to do. From the information, I will just bring something. In this case, from where? From I'm sorry. From M. Oh, okay. From the. I didn't install it, right? MS. Okay, I didn't install it. Then let's install this one. This is the only one that I needed. I will just say, okay, test it. npm install, and I will just install the MSW. Nothing more is needed. I install it. I usually will go here to the package.json, and it has to be somewhere over here, supposed to. Oh, I didn't install it. Testing, yeah. I think I installed it. Add it. Okay. Okay. What happened? Mario was not that smart and installed where it was not. Remember, go to the package that you have. Here is saying testing by project. And here you install what you want. And then I have here dependencies. Nothing more. Now that I install it, now I can get it here from MSW. For the MSW, on this one, for MSW, I will need to get HTTP and HTTP response. And I will need to import something from MSW, but I also will need to get it from Node. It will be the server setup.
Actually,
Why?
this thing needed to test that out or just API.
Exactly, but I need to, we will not test the API. What we are doing here is mocking the API. Like right now, when in the line 9, call the component. This component, in this case, run this call to the API. This call to the API, fetch the API, fetch this one. What we're doing right now is just intercepting. Every time that the test see that we are calling this API, it will not call the API, but it will mock our data and it will return us the data that we will define here. That is the only thing that we are doing. We are just saying, okay, you are going to the API, you are in a test. Don't go to the API, just take this data. That is what we are doing. That is why we are making this server. This server is basically mocking the server that exists here.
Mocking, you mean like MOC, like mocking?
Mock, like
Mocking is like
yes.
make a fun.
Yeah. Faking the data, like a mocking. I'm not giving you the real information. I am giving you fake information. This one, mock data. It's like I am generating this data. I am giving you fake data in order you to run that application. Yep. This one, MOCK, mock.
I'm confused. Okay, that thing that that what you install it, it's gonna give us the fake data instead of real data.
Exactly. In
Why
order
do
to
you,
create,
in order to,
okay, in order to continue bringing or continue creating some, okay, the component product display data, the product display data will map this information and it will get an idea and a product. What
Mhm.
happens if you are creating a test and this test is relying into the fake data? Every customer may have a different data, right? Right now, because we are getting one data from one API is all the time the same. It's all the
Mhm.
time the same what we are having. But imagine if that were a real data from a shop, you will have all your life the same products. You cannot rely in a test that from the database because maybe that database will change, maybe that server can be in this case not working, maybe in this case, maybe you don't even have internet to be created. Then in this case, I can create fake data, like this fake data, and give it to my test in order to, okay, it's doing what it's supposed to do if I have this data. And that is why
Oh,
we are creating this fake data for
mhm.
our test only.
I got you. That fake data is actually the copy of our original data. And
Yeah, but
since we cannot touch the original one, we want to make the copy and work with the copy, right?
mostly like that. But here is when the component try to go here, for example, in fetch data, when try to go to this API, what we will do it is this server it will say, don't go, take this, and I will return you some information. I will just continue here, and when I finish, we will go over the code, and maybe it will make a little bit more sense. Then, for example, here I will create my server. For example, const server. This server will create the setup server. The setup server. This setup server, what is getting is one HTTP. HTTP. This one I just got it over there. Dot get. This dot get. This dot get is from this API. This is the API that I am faking. This is the API that I am faking. Then this API is returning something. And I say return. What? It will return one HTTP, HTTP response, the type JSON. If you see it, this type JSON is basically this one, this response that is arriving here. And what do we have? One array with some data, and we will just need the ID. Let's say like the ID is 01 and the name product and the name of the product. You will see it here. Is this title? Is this title? It will be, for example, product 1. That is what we have. And right now we created that server. Now that we created that server, before every test, before all, and by the way, this before all has to come from btest as everything. Then after before all, we create that server. That means every time that you open or every time that this test run, instead of using the internet, every time that our application try to go to this API, it will return me this data. Okay. Remember that when I call to the API, when I call the API and I say data, JSON, it gives me this. That is coming from the backend. Now, in my test, what I am saying is when is every time that the application try to pull data or try to fetch data from this API, give me this. This is just for my test. For my when I am testing, give me this data. By the way, this is going to fail right now. It's because of something. Before, after all, we close it. Why? And everything that is coming here from the API. I am sure that and here we will say after each. And here we have. I know that this is too much extra and for this test is completely unnecessary. But believe me that is better to put it. Before everything, open the server. Before every test, open the server. Which server? This server. After every test, reset the handlers. These are called handlers. And when you finish, close it. Now I will save it. And I will go to my test. Why is failing? Look, remember that before this one, from where is arriving this information? If I take this data, is arriving from the API. But now the API is returning the product one. Where is arriving product one? From here. Now, if I take that product one and I add it into my test and I save it, all my tests are passing.
So now you're describe taking from the component in taking from that like endpoint, which you already, I mean, from the server here, right?
Exactly. That is the only thing that I'm doing. And this is called an interception. What you are doing is every time that this app here, for example, here, fetch API. When I am trying to get that fetch API, this JSON, these two lines that you are seeing here, I am faking it here. Look, it's sending this response JSON. This one is what you are arriving here. And then the data is coming. I can even show you like this. I can say console, let's say console.log data. Look, this data is this one that I am arriving here. This data is this data that I am adding here. I can even create, for example, a second data. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Second data, product 2. Then this is the data. The only thing that I am doing here is creating an interception. Intercepting the data instead of the data. Instead of this call to the API, go to the real API. I just say, wait, don't go there. Just use this one in order to test my server. Why? We are not backend developers. I don't care if this thing is working or it's not working. I mean, that is the problem of the people of backend. Me as a front-end developer, what I need to know is that the component is rendering properly in this case.
Mario, one more time,
Yes.
please.
Yes.
We are making that interception since we don't want to test the original data, or like still didn't get it why we need that interception.
Because you can, let's imagine that my server is not working. Let's say it like this. Let's say that for one reason, the server is not working. Let's say like for one reason, the server is not working. If the server, imagine that the URL is correct. Okay, the URL in this case is I make one mistake in the URL. Right now, the server is down. I am faking that the server is down, right? For example, here, if I go to my application and I try to go over there, it's loading and the server is not working. If I go here and inspect in the network, okay, just go. The product is not working, but this is the API. But the component is correct. As a front-end developer, that the API is not working is not my problem. I cannot do anything. Then, in this case, this is not a front-end inconvenient. Being said that but the component is wrong? No. Then how can I test a component if I have something that is not reliable like the API? Why? The API, the product, let's say like you have a shop, the product can change all the time. The product can be different, the products, the you are not paying for the server or anything.
Mhm.
Then the API is not important for me. Then what I do is, okay, look, even if the API is not working, I can test my code with some data that I know that is immutable. That means like it will never change. And the information that I have here, this one, it will never change. It's just,
Mhm. But it's also like on the other side, on the other hand, if you work with the original data, for example, you could find that problem with a backend and tell that backend to fix it. But for example, if you will work with your own data and then some kind of mistakes happened in the backend, you can skip that mirror and they also can skip like.
okay. Let's say it like this. Okay, that will work if all your user has the same data. But let's right here. The API is the same for you, for David, and for Big Mike. Everybody is the same. Let's say like now we are Amazon, and this is just an information that you are bringing, right? Let's say orders. You have an order. David has one order. You have one order. Big Mike has one order, and Mario has one order different. How we can test three different datas with just one information. Your component will be different, David will be different, my car will be different, Big and mine will be different, and your car will be different. Then I cannot rely this data because it's changing depending on the user, right? Then in order to know that my component is working, I have to create something that is homogeneous. I have to create something that is reliable, that will never change the purity of the component. And that is what we are trying here. This component will always run the same when I am sending the same data. But a data from the API or from a server is unreliable because can change depending on the user, depending on the state. Or imagine if we are in another country and for you is rendered English and for me it's rendered German. And they say in English is account, in German is Konto. Then there are two different things that they can bring me over there. When the system start growing and not for everybody is the same, then it's very difficult to test it with that API. That is the reason that we intercept and we say, okay, everybody, the information can be different, but everybody has a title and everybody has an ID. I'm not sure if that make a little bit more sense, Max.
It makes sense. Yes, I got it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, cool.
So then the question. So you did so many new things for us. Should I like remember all of that, or like,
As I told you,
or I just need to know about it, or like?
yes, basically you need to know about it and you
Because
need
after
to
2 weeks,
know.
I will forget everything. Yeah. If I
Oh,
don't.
that is normal. When I say it's normal, because yesterday before arriving to the class, I was reading the documentation. The majority of the time you will need the documentation. I will be very honest. I usually forget one or two things here. What you need to know is what is important, eh, that you need to create a server, that you need to know that one. Okay, I need to create a server because I need to fake the data. Okay, how you will set the server? Okay, I forgot how to do it. You just come here. Okay, I need to set up the server. And then you start looking for the information, or you can just and you have to remember that MSW is the MS, like a mock, let's say that is mock uh, server call React, for example. The majority of time, look, everybody is just giving you the same one now, and then you say, okay, then is MSW, okay, MSW mock call API, mock optical, and then you will just have here, and do you need a server describing. Mhm. And here you have it, set up a service. That is the same information that I have. It's not important, Mario saying, remember every single line. It's important to know what we are having to, or what we have to do. We have to mock the server. We have to, if you remember, set up server for test, believe me, you are more than good enough to go over there. Everything else, for example, all this information is is just here. I mean, like is written. That is why you have the documentation, nothing more.
Looks like
Uh,
if you're doing this, you're always gonna go back to here and take the syntax, right? I don't know how to remember this.
no, 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 no. And I will tell you why not. Because the majority of time, when you are working in a project, everybody's testing. Then someone else here is someone else. For example, right now I did it. But if I create another API, maybe I am using another. I can just go to the other text and you copy paste. I mean, like that. And you remember the important part is know why and where to find it. Okay,
Yeah.
remember every single step? No, it's very different
I
to
understand
know.
I understand one thing, like
Yes.
you want, like you say, you want gonna be the same, like it in perfect world is gonna be always like this, and you're gonna go back and just, but it's always find out some like nerd which gonna create something away, like the promises, we're gonna exclude something like this, and what you gonna do in that point? You have to like understand each line, or what? I'm sure you're gonna make it like some by different way, right?
Well, then you will taste it in a different way. It's not that has to be I mean, remember that you will implement this thing. I mean, the idea is like you created that product display. I don't know how you create it, but the same way that you create it, the same way you will test it. Okay, if it may have difference, but the difference, even though is the implementation is different, is doing the same stuff. I mean, what I needed is to display the data that is coming from the API. I mean, the implementation can be different,
Yeah.
but the what is doing the same.
Yeah. What I'm saying, I wish it's gonna be always same the implementation too.
Yeah, but what you had to is this line. This one will be always be very similar, and as more as you do it, as better you get passing this data. As I say, right now you have a get, but imagine if you were having another one. Which would you have? Post. Okay, here you have post. You having what? Delete. Then you have a delete. Then you have it in this case. What else do you have? Patch. Then you have patch. What is doing this HTTP? It's just replacing your network. In this case, the network, every time that you send a request, what type of request that you're sending? This one. And what are you returning? This one. This HTTP is your request, nothing more. And response, what type of response you can send? Okay, you have JSON, or you have in this case, for example, I think there will be plenty other apply, color, form data. You can return some HTML, XML, very old way, but it's possible to do it. And but the idea is calling an API. Imagine if you were getting data, fake data from, I don't know, for any kind of server, you just describe the shape of your data. From what is coming from your API. Let's imagine that you were having an image. Yeah. And for example, here, I will also have the product.image. Then you can also come here and, okay, I will extend it. Image, and you have some data. Image, some data. This is just faking the data. Do you remember what is this one? This one is similar to before. I remember that when you were working, you were doing something like this. You were doing like a data.json, and you were creating export, const data, equal, and you were sending here, right? And you were importing it from over there. Basically, I am doing the same, just instead of calling it from something, I just saying every time that you try to call to the API, just give me the local data, and what you are testing with local data.
Yeah, I understand what it's doing. It just like in this case, you just like testing the data, like for example. But the I'm about the describe one from lines.
Like this one.
The whole block. I'm like from 16 to 22.
Which one?
No, from 16 to 22. The describe one. Since you put the product display, but since when you put that server, it start to look it up that server, not product display. What the point of this describe one? Like what is doing? Because you don't need that product display anymore, right? Or you still need it there?
The line
this one.
18, I guess.
Okay.
The line 18, you are like calling another component, the product display, I guess, right?
Yeah, like since he put that service, he don't look at that endpoint from product like display, right? Why you need that component still there? Like, do you even need that component there?
This one here.
Yes.
If not, I mean, I need to, okay. Render, this render, what is that? Is leave the component, show the component in a headless server. If I don't put it, then what I will be testing? I need to render the product.
Yeah, right. But in your await is now looking at the endpoint from server, not from the component. Yes, but what you testing? You testing your like server, not the product display, right?
No. Yes, no, I am testing the component. I am not testing the server. What?
When you put the product 1 or product 2.
Wait, give me 1 second. Give me one.
Yeah.
What do we code? We code the Component, we call the backend.
We called component,
And then what we are testing here,
the component.
and what the component has to do.
The component has to work.
It has to show me the title.
Yes.
Then that is
Okay.
why I'm testing here. If I am passing this information, what
Mhm.
has to appear in the screen? This is what I am saying in the if I run this component
Mhm.
with this data
Mhm.
in the screen, I have to have this information. That is what we are saying.
Yes, but in your data from product display, you don't have product 1 and product 2 title.
You have it, they are here.
You create it right now. You just did it.
Yes.
You changed it. Right. So
Uh-huh.
it's just looking up your server, not your product display. It's not going through your product display. You're going your like
It's
server.
going.
Uh,
No.
I guess the logic itself, we are not testing that data. We don't worry, we don't care about the data. We care about the component, the product is
I
how it
will put
works.
it here. 8
Now
That's
it's
and
gonna be
9.
wrong. Now it's gonna be failed because it's no like it's not nothing there. The product 1, product.
But look, what I am testing is this one. This
Yes,
is a
but it's
screen.
coming from your server, not from the component.
It's
the
coming from
data
the.
itself, it doesn't matter. The data itself doesn't matter. They say
Uh.
the matters is how that product display is fetching the data. That's the most important.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh,
We are
okay. Now,
we just don't want to use the data itself since like
mm,
it might be changed. It might be like yours is different, mine is different. We don't care
okay.
about the what kind of data. We just care
Okay.
about how it's fetching, and that's it.
Okay. Because I've been thinking about only data because like if you take the data from the server, why we need that
Why
product?
would you want to test it, right? If we
I just been thinking all the time
look,
about the data. If it's work or no, then
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Look, if you see here, I have
yeah,
these
now I
tools.
see. Now I see what you're testing. After Maksat say we don't care about the data, I'm like, oh, then okay, I understand what you're doing here.
Okay, that's good. First thing, it's good that you ask it and that we are going over there. Now we know that we test component. We don't care about the data because we don't do the data. That's it. Okay, that's cool. This one is we are faking the server. Honestly, this will work for any type of server because what you are testing is the rendering option. Then we don't have anything else. This we will go and take a break right now for a while. After we take a break, we will at least install Cypress and start going to Cypress. Here, what you see, this component may be simple, but the idea is the same. I mean, the important is that you intercept your call to the API and you return the information. Everything else that you are doing here, it will be up to you. Remember that yesterday we were saying like, for example, uh, fire event dot change, fire event dot click. Everything else it will be your creativity, what you want to do it. Net. We will take some break right now. And I am not even asking Ennis to begin mine because usually begin mine is doing something that she cannot speak. That is why I'm not asking you anything. But if you have a question, please let me know. Remember me. Okay, this suited case is basically a bunch of cases that we are having in Cypress. We are just using it for end-to-end test, but the integration between the backend and the front end that we have it over there. Here we will just use the real data. We will not be mocking anything. Will not be mocking anything. And
We are not knocking, or you cannot do it with the Cypress.
you can do it, but then it will not make sense to use Cypress if the idea of Cypress is to check the integration front end back end. and then you are using immutable data. Usually you will have one API for testing. This API that you have for testing has to be set it up in order to be working on. You can do it, but you don't want to do it because, I mean, the idea of the end-to-end test is to detect if the integration between the front end and the back end are working. Majority of time, well, you are looking for a process. You are not looking for the component itself, for example, login. Then you have a user and you are using this user to log in. And you suppose that this user has to log in. You have to create a product. You have a form, you fill that form, and you send that product to the backend. Then it's supposed that this product is created. When you are using backend, you start using something that's called orbs. The orbs, or they are just processes. How you hear about, for example, GitHub Action, I think. GitHub Action, like then every day you have this test running in order to this that everything is working properly. Or for example, this data that you created today, tomorrow this GitHub Action get deleted and just perform it. One GitHub Action is just a process that is created for that day that is running in a specific time. Like for example, tomorrow at 9 a.m., this has to happen. And you make this task that is running specifically in a specific time. That is what usually we have it in that case. Okay. We will have to, as always, right? We will have to install a couple of things. And yeah. Installation. Yep. As always, we use the documentation. As I say it today, my idea is to install it and let it be running. Here is. We just take the information and we install it. This will take some time, more with me. It's a very heavy. It's heavy. It's heavy. I will just tell you that it's heavy. If you compare it with other ones, it's heavy. With any other package that you have. Then if you go to the package, then it has to be here. And here we have some Cypress. Okay, we install it. We install everything. We just arrive it. They will tell you that you need some information and everything. And you could open the API. After you install it, we have to open, in this case, the API. You can do it by using NPX, just in case your NPX is a little bit different. What it does. Okay, and here we have it. What NPX does? NPX stands not package execution. That means like it executes one package. It's different. NPM install or manage your package, but NPX will execute that package. Like, okay, we install it. Now we have to execute it. Why do we need to execute it? Here comes the thing. When you install Cypress, it's not configured, and we need a lot of data here. When I go and install it, NPS Cypress, NPX open, then it will arrive and it will tell you, oh, it looks like it's the first time that you are installed. And this Cypress. And you will say yes, and later it will appear you something like this. Yours can be a little bit different. here we're saying, oh, you are the first time that you are installing Cypress. Please, do you want to install everything? Yes, and it will appear a lot of information over there. Okay. Okay, support files.
Is it something like a node, or you install it only for one project and you every time have to install it, right? Or
You have to install it for
Oh.
every project in this case.
because it's asking you it's first time you install it.
Yes, and then you have to say yes, it's the first time that you are install it. And in this case, you have to install it. In my case, I make and they will make it a lot of configuration in this case in your server. Look, I need to create this file. Cypress, yours will be quite different. Here I will just say Cypress. Then I will have to inside Cypress. I have to install support. Support, I have to create Cypress. I need to create support. Support.
Yes.
Support. Yeah. And then I had to create N to N. Then I have it here. And okay, let me just, and now I have to create like a some test here. Like for example, test.ca.ts. Yes, for example. And play again. Support file missing. Support file, support folder. The support folder. Okay. The support folder. Support folder. So I need something like a okay. This is one problem mostly with okay, okay. Okay. Can you give me the copy of this Cypress that you have it? Maybe you can just send it to me. I just don't want to make the configuration here, if you don't mind.
Oh,
Oh, you, if you don't mind.
I don't have any Cypress here.
When here in your project, didn't install you anything.
Me?
Yes, here in your project, it's not showing you anything here. When you say install it, did you run in this case?
No, Mario,
FPX.
I'm just watching right now. I'm just watching. I'm not
Ah.
following you.
And you Max that too. You are just following me.
I'm just watching too. It's impossible to follow you.
Really? But I am trying to go slow.
I mean, like, the before I was following it, that was fine. Then, when I have the Azamat classes, he's doing so fast. And then I have a
Mhm.
choice here to follow you or to listen you. If I listen you, I will understand everything. To follow you, I will just copy paste and don't understand anything. And that time I decided to just listen watching the all videos, but never typing.
Yeah, the same. In 5 months, I never follow anybody. I just always watching because if I start to following, same thing like Max. I don't understand anything.
Yeah, I will lost the flow, the logic. For example,
Okay.
how it usually comes is like, for example, I made some typo, let's say, and while
Mhm.
I'm like correcting the typo, the instructor will go farther away, and I will have a gap between the typo and what was happened, like in between when I was changing the correcting the error. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I see you are doing this very slowly to give us a chance to follow you, but
Yeah.
it's a game that I joined the classes a little bit lately, and I was not able to chance like to follow you.
Oh, okay. No. Okay. No, 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 not a problem. Okay. 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 Okay, not a problem. Just let me. Okay. Okay. Well, then let me just go here. Okay. I will just go open it. Okay. End to end, configure it. Okay, okay, React Webpack. Okay. Okay, we'll install the dependencies, suppose, and keep it, and we'll just need it. Okay, then give me some time instead of Cypress.com. I will delete this. Okay, I will delete this one and I will delete this one. Don't pay attention because you will not have this problem when you are installing everything. And now we have it. I will reinstall it. It will create all the configuration. And here you have your end-to-end test. At the very end, it will appear you this. Yeah, it will appear you this information. And in your code, it will appear this one. Fixture, support, and all this type of data. Now that you have all the data, we will create something like it's called end-to-end. We will create this end-to-end. When you are creating this end-to-end data, there is absolutely anything extra that we have to create it. We will just need to create the end-to-end test. In Cypress, they are quite different, and we usually call, for example, products. Products, and you call it CA dot, in this case, ESX. Product, and they will appear here. Let's add it with the real name. The name products. Okay, and they will appear here. They will appear. The test, you just create this file end to end, and you just call it, for example, here you have login.ci that is called the Cypress, TSX, or wherever you have. And they will appear here. Da, 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 da. No, there is nothing extra. You can create folders, for example, here, say, and you can group it. Mm, Login, for example, login, and you have it, and you just move it this inside, and then you have here the test. This is very nice because you can organize, you can have all the tests in one place, and that help you to have everything organized. With the test, that we are having here, let's say like we will want to test the product. As all the time, that when you are creating something, remember that we will have to uh, import something from by test. Okay, and what we usually want to get is the scribe, and what is the other? It. These are the only two things that we needed. Now that you have all the configuration that we needed, we just go describe, and this will be, for example, render the application complete. Then after you render the application, here it's just telling me you have to render the app. And the app in this moment is running somewhere. Okay, let me see. npm run dev. We have it in this. Okay. Then I have to enter into this server. It's going to fail. But just give it over here. I have product, and I enter, and it's going to fail. Why? Because it's saying through error and module btest, we cannot import module required import. Okay. Just let me just remove this guy here because we don't have here btest, and here you will have the test. Cypress is having their own way to do it. And then you have your Cypress configured without any inconvenience. Okay. Remember that here I am taking the API. I am just looking for the API. I can just start looking for what we need. For example, let's say like we need to look for the complete information here. Then what do we do? Okay, we just say it.
One question, Mario.
Yes.
The Cypress is not working in a terminal. It has in own, like, go into the browser and like show you all.
Everything.
They have more options here, right? Like, I'm just looking the left side. What else? What else do you have here, like, on the left side?
This one.
Yeah.
Ah, no, this one is not related with the test. These are the tests that you have. This is what is running in this case, the server. There's the debugging part, and this set it type basically which project you are using, or for example, in this device, what type
About
of
the debugging, what does it do?
Yeah.
What is debugging?
Oh, I'm not using it, but this one they usually this Cypress, yeah. But I don't use it because I don't have it. But it's basically you can
Mm.
if there are some errors, they are saving it. And just give me one. I don't have any project. Connect to project. And here is, I can start recording the information in
Wow.
order to. I not use it honestly, David. I just use this part.
Mm.
That is basically the test that I want to do it. For example, here, the product is running, and I start testing the information that I have here. One thing, this kind of projects, you are testing the whole project. You cannot test just one component. You will
Mhm.
test the completely page. I mean, that is why we have different kind of tests. We have the simple test that we create yesterday. We create, in this case, an integration test. For example, the one that we create today that we were doing, this one was really more like an integration test. You are integrating the call to the API with the component. These are two
Mhm.
things. The end-to-end test, these are completely the full information that you are. CI or Cypress is this is Cypress. What you have it here. All
Mhm.
this screen, this is Cypress. Now, this part that you have here, this is like your document.
Mhm.
What we call it in this case, CI. Let
Mhm.
me just remove this one to have less. This CI that you are seeing over there is this one.
Mhm.
And before we, now you say it, for example, contain, and what you are looking for. Okay, it has to contain, for example, this test.
Mhm.
And then you will have to run it again. And here it is, contains this data. And if you see it here, render, then go and look for the data. And here it is showing you where is that data.
That's
And
nice. Like you can just, like you said, it's gonna run it all your like document and find out everything, right? You don't have to put exact component, find out what component like you did before, right? Right now,
yeah,
you just right now you just say find it, like find in whole like before you like in like put your component and then you say find this one in that component, like if no or yes, here you just put contains and that's it.
yeah,
That's what you're
yeah.
meaning by saying the whole project.
The full project. In this case, you are lifting what the customer is seeing.
Mm.
Okay. What are the problem with this? It looks too perfect to be. It's very
Mm.
difficult. It's very difficult to verify small pieces of code. The majority of the time with Cypress, because it's very slow. I mean, if you compare it, this one has to leave all the. We have to render. It has to call to the API and everything. It tends to be very slow. That is why we just use it to the past. Imagine every time that you are making a change, the application is being created and it's been running and everything. That take a lot of time. That
Mm.
that take a lot of time. Now let's go and for example in the app.js we have this this button. Okay, we will have the we will have to get it right. We will have in this case to get it. Something that, as always, I say it in Cypress, we have different selectors. Selector. Okay, here we have the different selector that we have. For
Mhm.
example, and then we will just go here and, for example, get button Cypress, and you're saying the get button, but it's not what we get element. And here we have it. Data Cypress, data test, data ID, class, tag, attribute, and everything that we have. We can select for different way to do it. And this is the priority, like what is like the majority that we have it. If a majority of time you will just use the ID, or you can use this one. Do you remember that before we were just using this data test? And we can use it, or you can use this data Cypress in order to have it. The inconvenience with using data Cypress is that you are adding, in this case, too much information into your test, basically, that we are selecting. I don't know how to.
Then okay, for like you said, majority of time, why we need a Cypress? Like for what usually
For
the
test.
people use, like not for testing what? Like
No, but not for testing component. You use it for testing process,
test
the logging process, the saving process, the add one uh one product or log out or process. Not, for example, I want to see if the button, when I click the
yeah,
button and I do
I
this,
got
and
it now.
you don't go for in this case everything that you are getting. Okay. And then here you have it that the city should meet basically. I am just thinking that data CI. I just want, I think, I'm not sure if we have to add meta React example here, mounted data CI. I think like we just need to add the component, the data CI. Just give me 1 second because I am increment. Okay, increment. I'm not sure if I just have to add data CI or I have to add in this case meta. That is what I don't remember. But let me just add it here. This component, for example. I think I have to add meta, but let me just do data CI. And this data CI, what I will just say it is, for example, counter. And let's try to see if I get it. Now, if you are seeing, we will just have to get the component. We'll have to say it. Get and data CI counter. Huh? And it's basically how we name it, right? Counter, data CI, and we have the counter. Let's see if we find it. Okay. Let me just cons counter because I wanted to add it over there. And let's see if it's find it. Oh, look, it will not need to add it. There it is. We have the counter. What we do later, we can just say the CI dot click if I not counter. See, I wrote the code, okay? Running parent, click doesn't exist. Is perform? No, look, just, yeah, it's, no, but it's correct what I did. Dot click. Is interesting. It has to be working complete. And here is click it, and now is the number one. And you can just start doing it plenty times, right? I click it plenty time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we will just have this information. And it's supposed that here has to appear
After clicking 5 times.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After clicking 5 times, it has to be appear count is 5. That is suppose that I have it here. Yep, there it is. And here you can see it. Click it 1 time, click it 2 times, click it 3 times, click it 5 times. Everything else here will be just basically what we are doing, right? You are looking, getting some information. Then everything is just basically repeating with Cypress. For example, let's say that we have another component, and this component, what we can say it, let's say like is called form, TSX, TSX. This component, let's say cons, form. It will not be a form, but it will be something similar. When we have this form, it will return. What will return? Something. What we will have? Let's have just one input with one type equal text. We will just use Cypress test. And this one will be, for example, username. Username. No property. But I think is correct how we did it, right? Data CI is called. It's data CI. Is this data CI? And every time we have a value, this value will arrive, and on change we'll have something because we have that component that is already here. Import, use state from React, and we say cons. Okay, we will have here username and set username. On change, on change, then going with uppercase, and we export this guy. We get this form, and this form is arriving somewhere over here. Form. And it is arriving the form. And then here we have the form. It's arriving. Our test is clicking, doing everything and everything. What we need to do now? Now I can get the new element. Which is the new element? Username. And what do you think I have to do? I think it will be type
Mm.
and I will type some test. I'm not sure if that is, but we'll go. I'm saying object. And what is happening? But this is because of this one. Okay, I had to say A. This
Mm.
is how I was managing everything, right? You can say everything, everything. Say E dot target dot value. Okay. This is nothing to do with Cypress. This is something to do. There you have. For example, here I say Mario. Okay. Then after that one, I can just say, hey, Cypress dot get, for example, username dot what dot value. It has to have Mario. Then is not that one. Then we have the element. After we have the element, let's see here. Value is not a function. This is just should had been called with one. Have test. Oh, then
Should.
should and here I think it's like a had value Mario. Remember is that that it is.
Mm.
And
But have that value supposed to be inside of the like kawich.
how you know how to write it? You have to look for the documentation and read it because I didn't remember how to do it. I am basically this last part. I was expecting one follow along and everything.
Okay.
This part, David, I cannot answer you because it's not. I don't know all the properties or anything. I mean, if I need something, I will just look it into the documentation and what I am doing it, and I will see the error. For example, you saw that click. It was my mistake. I didn't do correctly. I looked the documentation, seeing. Then I was here like thinking about the value, but not. They are saying should have value this one information. I mean, and everything over there it will be what uh what the user is doing, clicking, checking, typing. I don't know. I think like we can do something like this. For example, we have to do this, but instead of type, maybe we can have, for example, press key. Let's say like we want to press the delete button. Okay. I don't know how to do it. Then I will go Cypress, press delete key. Okay. Then I go type delete and it's saying black space. I don't know that one. Then I say type, and instead of passing that one, I am passing black space. Okay, it's not like that. Let me just see. Where it is. Control will not delete an entire word. Type. Type, and as I see it, is between in between this. Look, delete it one time. If I wanted to delete it 2 times, maybe I will just do it. I will do it 3 times. And I deleted 3 times. Now I go again and I check, for example. Now I deleted 3 times. 1, 2, 3. There it is. If in this case I were expecting math, then this is going to fail. It didn't find it, and it will say me, look, you are looking for the value for this value, but this is incorrect. Look, you have the value math, but it's different. Look, to have the value math, but the value was ma. Then you can just go and look for what we have it. Then you are doing over here. Or you can have the button be present. The button be present. Select in a drop down, but everything will just come and you will have to look for the documentation itself for what you are doing. Basically, that is Cypress. Cypress is no more. Cypress means CI means the screen. Get the element that you want to do it. What you usually want to get it, data Cypress is a very easy way to do it. And then the event that you want to prevent. And should, what should do or what should not have to do. And yeah, basically that is Cypress. There is nothing more that I can imagine extra to do it. Well, describe.
Of course, it's more complicated when you have the big project, but
I mean, this is the basic part to do it. I mean, like you visit. What you visit is go to this page. And wherever you want to do it, it will just depend on how complicated is your page, right? Absolutely.
yeah.
Then basically, if you can try to install it, you can try to do it, but I don't have more to share with you for today in this moment. I will go with questions or anything extra thing, but what is the part about related with the class? I think that is what I prepare for share to you today. I don't have more.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
Too many information.
Yeah. And for tomorrow, we will just start using GraphQL, or at least we will start learning GraphQL. GraphQL is just something similar to, instead of using APIs, we will just use GraphQL. Just because GraphQL is not something that you use in a small company, but at least I will like you to know what it is, how to use it, or everything. By the way, just maybe I can share you. Do you usually use a? You are just already creating your own hooks, right?
Our own hooks?
Yes.
You mean in React, custom hooks?
Yes. Custom hooks. Yes.
Yeah, we've been trying to do it some like couple times with the Azamat.
Okay, that's cool. Then I
Most of the time
have.
for the reducer and the like for the context API or something. I mean the use context.
Then you are creating use my store, right? Or something like that. Your own context that is in your own.
Yeah. And for the reducer also we've been trying to do with the reducer. Our custom
Cool. Yeah, I usually don't use reducer, but they are cool. Según as I hear it, then I will stop recording this thing.